live.
Yes, we are. Oh, shit. Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hello from Auckland, New Zealand. It is currently Monday, the 15th of February. And we're going to do a little top-down analysis, usual Monday run to fire it off. I think Philip's going to come in here and we're going to look at the GJ. Is that right?
Yeah, might as well.
Fantastic. Jump in there, man.
So yeah, as you guys know, or I don't know if you guys do know, but New Zealand again went into lockdown. So just going to have a quick little look at things. So I mean, if we look at like our NZD pairs, we'll see that there's the spreads are still quite high. So obviously there's not a lot of volume in the market for some reason. As we know, for COVID, so Kiwis probably aren't trading. We saw a nice little gap to the upside, but yeah, just keep in mind the spreads. We can see this even if we drop down to the 1 minute time frame. We see there's not really any volume in the market after that gap. So just I think try and steer away from Kiwi pairs until things get sorted out. But like I said, we want to have a look at GJ. I spoke about this a while back. Mentioned we were sort of in this channel to the upside. I'll go to the 4 hourly time frame. We were let's see if I can find it. There it is. So we're moving inside this channel. We're trying to figure out whether the market was going to sort of continue up further higher or whether it's going to come down to touch that zone. So obviously we can see that it is starting to, we did get that touch, and obviously we start to push higher. But we're looking sort of around about this area to try and figure out if the market would try and push down to this channel to give us some of the entry. Now unfortunately it hasn't done that. So let's have a quick look at that little triangle, that sort of structure over here. So here we go. We were looking at this triangle. We had like a false breakout. So this is the triangle we had. We can see we had that little breakout, but now obviously if we look to the left, we do see that there was some support coming up, a bit of a consolidation zone as well. Let's find it. There it is. You guys can see it. That little section up over there. So if we put it all the way to the left, we can see it kind of did hit that. Also, it was pretty close to this zone we had that previous week. So bit of a false breakout. Obviously, if you weren't going to trade it until it reached the zone, you're a pretty smart person. Now we're still seeing it pushing higher. So if we go back to our higher term time frames, pop down to the 4 hourly. So now we can kind of wait for it to hopefully reach that zone. I'm not really a big fan of trading against the channel, obviously, because if you look to take that trade, I always talk about this, and the market sort of continues up against the channel, you can get stopped out. So I'd personally wait for it to look for a hit, and then wait for it to eventually come back down to the zone, and then look to go, because we can see, like I mentioned, if you take a trade down here, put your stop loss, even if the market does continue on the trend line, you're still moving sort of in the direction. So we did, that's kind of the idea for this one. I'm not sure if you guys have anything.
I'll jump on this one too. It's something I noticed. That's cool. I was looking at sort of like long-term swings for this pair. If we just zoom out just a little bit. An area I've been quite interested in is sort of hanging around the sort of point, the 139s. We've actually got sort of a bit of a congestion zone hanging through right around right about here, as well as sort of a point of historic resistance. So this sort of range I'm kind of looking at purely on a swing level. If and when, that's the question. But looking at the momentum indicators, it's showing that this is incredibly overbought. We're actually just, if we zoom out a bit more, we're at another sort of area of resistance around that sort of the mid sort of 1.145s. We have hit the 147s historically, and then sort of quickly reversed. So I'm just keeping an eye on the zone. If we do eventually sort of run out of momentum here, the question is, will we sort of head back into that area? Just to sort of paint a bigger picture. We zoom out just a bit farther. You can see what I'm talking about here. We've been going up in this direction for quite a while. So just sort of makes you wonder, how long will it last? So anyway, that's GJ. Just wanted to add on to what Philip said there. Something else? Have we got any requests?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Anything
See, hey Mac, how you doing? That's GJ Amadreza. Max here. How you doing? I see. Keep saying Philly. Alright, so let's have a look at some other stuff. We'll have a look at
one of the bigger kahunas.
Yeah, bigger the Euro USD. Just drag it across.
Come on.
No, just drag it.
Drag it?
Yes, that's it. You're too late. Oh, you're too slow. Come on.
Slow.
It's like just watching Jay trying to
magic wand. Oh damn. Okay.
Okay.
see what's happening. Let's just go to a sort of 4-hour time frame here. Okay. Jump into 1 hour. Excellent. Okay. Andre, do you want to jump in this one, or want me to?
Yeah, I can do that.
You want to do this one? There's a bit happening here. We'll let Andre take over.
Alright, this is Euro USD. What's happening here? Four-hour time frame, and a nice area of resistance. So we have rejected that. One touch, two touches, brought the prices all the way down to this level of 120, 800, and then you can see another area here. So all these levels. What we could see in the future, we have a nice engulfing, bullish engulfing candle. We could see a possible moves and a break of this level and continue to move perhaps to a 121 again and continue to move up if market plays as the technicals are giving us. Do you have any other news?
Yeah, so I see a bit of a wave on there. This is Euro USD, so I just saw that when they were zooming out a bit. So I'll zoom out a bit more so you guys can see a little bit better. So what we have, let's get a nice thinner paint quickly as well. There we go. So we can see here that we do have our waves 1 coming up, so we can see 5 waves in here. We've got our correction wave, and then we see our 5 waves, sort of looks like a flat over here, 3 waves up, and then a nice move back to the downside. So that's obviously wave 1. We see it push back up to a wave 4, nice correction again, and then we see that final wave for our push for wave 5. So we've got our waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here. Then we see a nice triangle correction, and now again finally that final push up to finish our wave 5 for the overall cycle. So this one's a bit wrong. 1, 2, there we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. So then we have our overall waves 1, waves 2, wave 3, and wave 4 and wave 5. So now we see a nice push to the upside, and we see little zigzag correction coming to the downside, and now we're just looking for that wave to push to the upside. So we saw our first wave, we can see internal 5 waves pushing up. We hit that resistance coming up from our A wave, our B wave, my mistake. So we got our A wave over here, we got our B wave, and our C wave. Now we're seeing the market push up into our wave 1 to potentially pull back to our wave 2. Now obviously, when we look for a wave 2 pullback, we always look for it to reach our 4th wave, where we can see the 4th wave was quite shallow, so we could potentially see a shallow pullback of wave 2. Now if we have a bit of a bigger look on the inside, we could perhaps use some of our Fibonacci to see if we have hit any Fibonacci levels. So we kind of came close to that 38.2. I'll just move this one a bit right to the tip. We can see we came pretty close to that 38.2, so potentially hasn't really reached it, so we could maybe see this be a sort of a nice strong zigzag pattern. Nothing confirmed yet. We are sitting at a nice strong resistance, so we could see a possibly push, like I said, to that 50%, or if we could go any lower, I would say 60%. For me, usually there's a 70% that is not on this chart, on this correction, but usually it's around here. So if we see it hit that 70% chances, I usually find the chances of the market will continue down. So we have to redo our count again. But yeah, so hopefully if we get that wave 1, our wave 2, wherever it may finish, along some of our lines, 38.2, 50 or 61.8 retracements, we could then see it move up to finish that wave 3, and again, continue with the cycle. We could potentially see wave 4 kind of get stuck on this sort of the end of that wave 5 that we had over here, and then hopefully we can see, like I said, the wave 4 push further higher to the upside. So, but like I said, if it pushes past the 70%, we might need to recount our Elliott wave. But for the other technicals, I don't really see much happening. We could have a potential head and shoulders push up. We obviously got that sort of structure already nice down. We've got our inverted head and shoulders. We've got our one shoulder. We've got the neckline, and then we were looking to push it. So if this market does push the neckline, we see it's already starting to reject along this sort of area. We could see it push further down. Actually, I'll use a different color. We could see it push further down to reach this the next shoulder line, and then we could start to look for entries along this area to push for the higher. Obviously first take profit when we put by the neckline. If you want to re-enter again, we could look for it to push further higher. So now looking at this, it can follow that nice sort of Elliott wave as well, where we talked about the wave 1 coming up here, wave 2, and then obviously wave 3 pushing further higher, which will also nice and handily go with a nice head and shoulders pattern that we, inverted head and shoulders pattern that we see push through. So not sure, do we have any requests?
We had a USD CAD request.
Oh, USD CAD for you. Alright, Mr. Andre, you take it away, my friend.
Take it away.
Where's USD CAD?
Let's see.
Man, good luck. That's a truly hideous chart. I can just clear everything, man. I'll just get rid of everything. Delete. Oh, it's got
Oh, went to bed.
Oh, yeah, go get it quickly. Alright, while he's fixing it.
It's got a slight technical issue, guys. We'll be right with you. Bear with us. We're going to do USD CAD next, and we see your other requests. I'd imagine we're probably going to jump into gold afterwards.
Yeah. While we wait for Andre. You can see there's a nice sort of consolidation zone starting to pop through. But oh, there he is. He's back. USD CAD for you. Daily time frame.
USD CAD daily. Ooh. What do we say here? It's just a consolidation area. Oops. Strong area of consolidation. Been consolidating for a few days, so now it's just about waiting and see if it's all about if this area holds. We could see potential movements within here again, breaking that. We could see. Oops, sorry, man. We could see a potential areas of in the future. This is daily time frame breaking. You could see prices going back to 133, but if now weekly, let's see a weekly, so we can have a bigger picture. It's a big drop since last year, beginning of Corona. So we are potential targets if we continue to go down would be around this area. Again, 125, and this area is an area that you could perhaps see a very strong bullish momentum, but whether we are going to go back here, it's something unlikely. But you know, in the future, perhaps the whole year, 130, 133, we could see prices 125, 500. It's an area to be watching and see potential bullish momentum. Do you want to have a look at this further details?
I think you know, if anyone looking to trade on the lower term time frames, it's a bit trickier. Like you can see, you know, the markets. There's almost no volume in the markets. You know, you can see obviously by the wide spreads. You know, this is the tightest spread account, so it just shows you how low volume there is in the market. We had that slight gap up, hasn't even been filled. It's been almost an hour since markets have opened. So I mean, really, there's not much movement in there. We saw that nice strong drop. So really, guys, to be honest, I wouldn't really look to do anything today. But if you really are keen on something, we can see, you know, there's some consolidation zones up in here. Now, once we break past these areas, if you want to look to the top side, you know, we can see some nice clean traction. The reason why I put it here is because we have this little consolidation zone, and then obviously if it breaks past that, if you're lucky, we can look to hit that sort of top area over there. Now if it does drop down lower, obviously Mr. Andre has already showed nice targets for it, but looking on the higher term time frames, we'll go back to the daily, even the weekly time frame. I'll zoom in a bit more for you guys before I do that. Just have a look. Okay, yeah. So I'll zoom in a bit more, and what we can see is it's already it's getting to a nice strong rejection zone. We see that support being created. We saw these wicks rejecting. We saw some wick touches of that zone previously. Candles opens and closes above the area. So all depends on what this next. Obviously, it's a weekly time frame, so it's the bigger picture. So if we do see this candle look to close below this area at the end of the week, we could potentially see the market look to push that further down. However, if we stay above the zone, in my opinion, we could look for the market to continue to consolidate inside this sort of little tight zone, roughly between the 0.26 and the 1.28. So small little zone for the market to move in. We starting to see the moves. We always look for this. We're starting to see moves slowly decrease. So we always see, strong pushes to the downside, rather strong push to the downside, and we see that the retracement, and then we see that it's sort of slowly starting to decrease in its strength, pushing to the downside. So we see it's really struggling to push for the down. So we know that the volume to the downside is decreasing. Obviously, we have our freak moments like this where the market just decides to shut out and continue. So, but if we look at, let's have a look at some bigger pictures. Let's zoom out so you guys can get sort of an idea of what's happening. So we see this again here. Go to the weekly. So we see sort of a similar case. We see that market starting to nice strong push, we see the retracement. We see it starting to struggle, like with this wick over here. So push down, nice and strong, almost no wicks to the upside. Then we're starting to see these big wicks over here that we see final push, and then we're seeing these candles start to create the little struggle. So we're always looking for struggling areas. Now this is very nice and clear. We see that sort of curve in the market starting to slow down. And I'm sure if you put like a volume or anything in there, we'll see the volume starting to decrease as well. Just out of curiosity, I'd like to have a quick look at that as well. So we'll just put in an oscillator. MACD 5345, that's fine. We can see that the volume is slowly starting to decrease. It looks like there's still quite a bit of volume, but we are seeing it start to slowly decrease in the market now. We can see that it's still quite large. We could potentially look for a slight pullback to this support. We'll see the decrease in the volume perhaps, and then we finally see that push through and have a smaller sort of section. We usually see that in the markets before it turns around. So we see the market pushing down and further down, and then what we're seeing is we're seeing the volume decrease. Although the market is still making new lows, we are seeing the decrease in volume, and then we finally see that push to the upside. So if we look at our peak, what we had, if I can draw a straight line, looks fairly straight. And then as we see the height of that zone, we see that volume's already started to decrease, and then we can look for the moves back to the downside. So that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for that decrease in volume, and then we can look for the market to start, perhaps making a final push down, and then start to look for that turn back to the upside. We see it sort of everywhere, except this is a little bit exception, but we can still see the decrease in volume. Although that one's already high, but we see that decrease, and the volume switches over, and again we see these sort of structures where the volume slowly starts to come down, and we see a push. But yeah, anything else on this side? Let's say gold was the other one.
Yeah, gold.
Gold. Do you want to do that, or should I do
I'll
it?
jump into gold. Yeah, feel free to jump in and look at something you don't see perhaps. Beautiful. Awesome. Alrighty, so we'll take a quick look at gold, and I guess just to sort of paint a picture, we'll just start on the daily time frame, and just sort of really, I guess, see what's happening. I mean, the key point for this is we're sort of seeing that general recovery since all the fundamental factors that have kicked in over the last year, and we're, I guess, trying to see what the new norm is going to be for gold. As you know, we're hanging sort of much lower prior to everything that's been happening, but we are on this sort of this southern trajectory for a while. I'm going to probably just do a rough line through there. We have sort of bounced off this area of congestion, which was, I guess, the area we're hanging out prior to that massive takeoff. I believe it was about March last year. No, shoot, time flies. That's crazy. Anyway, so we've sort of tested that area a few times. We're looking at this sort of descending wedge for quite some time now. What I'll do now is just quickly zoom in on an hourly time frame, take a sort of closer look at sort of what's happening. Let's look here, we'll zoom out. Fantastic, I might use this here. So what we can see happening on a shorter time frame is another wedge I'm sort of looking at, and it's really based on, I guess, this low point around the sort of 178s, low 178s rather, sort of heading up to where we are currently. But there's a key area of congestion that we constantly hang out in, and that's sort of where I'm building this wedge currently. So on a shorter time frame, if you will, that's sort of the pattern I'm following. The momentum, I think we're sort of underboard at the moment, so the question is, are we going to shoot up for a while? this would indicate that we are heading towards this pattern and potentially another breakout as we continue to try and recover with all the sort of positive sentiment we're seeing out there happening. So that's it from me. That's what I'm looking at for gold. Philip, if there's anything you see there?
Yeah, no, I see there's along with that gold request, there was a silver request as well.
Oh, silver as well? Yeah, cool.
So just pop it to silver. Guys, what we'll do now is we'll just do all the requests. So I've got the top one now, so we'll slowly scroll down to see what's next. So I can see the gold and silver requests, so I'll pop on that. Silver generally looks the same as gold. We can see, I'm not sure if this will be right or not, we'll just have a quick look. So a bit of a trend line here starting to form. Not really too much, but we could look for a potential sort of triangle structure that could happen. There's not really any options to draw the top triangle. We could maybe use a support right over here. Could look like a flat top triangle for the market to move in, but obviously there's no confirmation. So we'll just remove that one for now. Obviously we'll work with this one until we start to see a top. Now if the market does stop along the zone and starts to push down, we could then potentially, like I said, look for the flat top triangle for the market to kind of consolidate within these two zones until we either see a break to the top, a break to the downside. Now break to the top, if this does happen, we don't know anything yet, like I said, we need to wait for the market to give us an indication. We see that nice 29,100 zone to push to. Could see the market sort of break up to that area. If it does come to the downside, guys, we always, like I mentioned, always need to look for these internal support / resistance zones. We see that consolidation zone over here, and obviously we've got this with the lowers where it touched. So these are all areas that we need to look for. So if you guys can see areas we need to look for the market. If it does break these patterns, we always need to look for these sort of structures in the market to push down. You want to say something?
No. If you go to a smaller time frame, you can see prices moving really, really fast.
Yeah, oh, look at that, yeah. So this is quite interesting. So we know gold and silver tend to move upwards when people panic. So obviously, like I mentioned, coronavirus just hit New Zealand again, so we're into lockdown again. I'm not sure what's happening around the world too much at the stage. So we can see there's a nice strong push up. So obviously people are starting to take money out somewhere and starting to push it into silver. So we see that nice push to the upside. Now, we do see this resistance coming up. This is a 30-minute time frame, so obviously if you're going to look for shorter term trades, you need to have, with any trade you really do, but you need to be so much more stricter if you have shorter term trades, because let's have a look here. We do see, for example, the market makes, let's say for example you had this break, this candle, you had that nice retest and the market pushed down. You need to be so quick at taking your profits, guys, because we can see the market completely reversed, went straight back into your negative zone, and then it finally started to move across. So you need to be really, really quick. You need to be very strict with your zones to try and, with your take profits, to try and get that profit as quickly as you can. You're not looking for a swing trade. If you're trading on the 30-minute time frame, you need your stop loss to be set on the 30-minute time frame, and your take profit to be set on the 30-minute time frame. You can't take a trade on the 30-minute time frame and then look at the daily, say, okay, now where's this market going to go to? It doesn't work that way. Okay. If you want to look at the daily time frame for your target, you need to take your entry and your stop loss on the day based on the daily time frame. I think Euro USD as well was there.
Aussie US dollar.
Aussie US dollar.
Yeah.
Is that the next one?
Next one, and probably the last one.
Aussie USD. So I think Aussie's actually moving quite slow as well. There's not too bad. Spread's not too bad. Daily time frame. We had a bit of almost looks like a flag that we had to the downside. We see that push. Come on now. We see that nice sort of bearish flag. We see that break now. Now we are starting to sit up. Mr. Andre, I can see you want to say something as well. Your fingers are itching.
No.
We can see that supports that resistance zone that the market is getting stuck on. What we saw nicely though is I just want to get a smaller pen. This one's a bit still too thick. We did see it sort of break this area, and we saw it retest on this line, and then finally we saw it start pushing back up again. So we're seeing this next candle open up. Ideally, what we want to look for is we want to see a bit of a retest of it first, a small sort of wick before we look to push to the upside and then continue on further. Now obviously we've got that high, not high, but this time frame is high. We see some wicks that touch there, and obviously the opens and closes of those candles. So that could be that could be an interesting area to look for. Now if you did happen to catch this trade on this retest of this sort of line, obviously your stop loss is down here. Your entry would probably be I would say somewhere around here. You know, you're sitting in the profit right now, so just this could be a target to look for. I would say you kind of already missed the bus, so if this does, or the train, so if this does pull back, we could potentially look for more sort of entries. Just be wary. You need, like I said, always have that stop loss to make sure you don't take much risk, because there is always a chance that this does turn into a very big consolidation zone. So, for example, what I mean is here we see that strong support, so we could see this as a sort of just a little quick freak breakout, which happens to hit on that support back here, and then obviously market will look to, or could look to, sort of continue on inside the zone. So just be wary of that. That's kind of what we look for. I believe if we do break past the zone, we could look for a potential clearing. Obviously, you always want that confirmation. Candle breaks past, next candle opens, retest it in that zone, and then continues up that. Then we know, okay, cool, we should, chances are we'll continue further higher. Looking at our monthly time frame, we do have some nice space to move into. Actually, I'll get rid of this and just get a flat line. A nice little target. We'll pop down to our hourly, I believe it was the daily time frame we looked for. Shrink this, you can see nice sort of targets to look for. Beautiful risk reward ratio. If you do happen to catch it on the retracement, breaks this resistance, you can see there's a nice big gap for the market to fill into. 300 pips, very nice. Anything?
You just need to be aware of the swaps.
That's it. Be aware of the swaps, guys. Quickly, how to check your swap. Go to your market watch. Right click if you're on a computer. So you right click on your pair, and you go down to your specifications. Oh, I'm still okay. We'll just get it quickly. So you right click on your market watch, go down to your specifications. If you can just drag it across. Just wait for him to drag it across. No, not yet. No. That's okay. But yeah, so you if you right click on that, he's struggling because you know he's kind of, the age is getting to him. No. Just leave it, it's okay. Yeah, so that's what you get. You right click on it, you get your specifications, and then you'll see you should see your swap there. So that's for longer term trades. We've made a video about it, so if you do want to have a look, check it out on YouTube. It's called How to Calculate Your Swaps. It should be on our YouTube page. But yeah, I think, is there anything else? I think with Andre you can do one last request if there's anything.
This one here, last one.
What's this?
GA.
Oh,
Probably the same one.
GA. GPAD. Alright guys, that'll be our last one for the day. Monty is the horse.
Pound, Australian dollar, and wow, what can I say here? So okay, let's go for maybe a more relevant time frame. Okay, 1 hour time frame. We have, so this is something for the next 24 hours or perhaps 12 hours. That's something that price have just opened. So the 1 hour, nice rejection of that zone. Price start climbing up. We tested kind of this level of 178,900. Now, what we could see for the next few hours is that we could potentially come back within this 177,900, or break that level. We'll see some buyers moving and continue within consolidation. On a 4 hour time frame, we see something like that. Very strong area of resistance, and then you go to the left and you can also see another one, 177,100. So these areas are where you have to look for. So let's put a trend line here. Let me change the color. Trend line, price, retesting, testing. We could break this level, strong area of resistance. Breaking that, we could see prices moving to 177,100, and then in this level, we could see potential buyers coming in and bringing prices to the upside. If we break that, we will continue to go a bit further down to perhaps 176. Do you guys have any other questions?
Can we do commodities, gold and silver? So we just did gold. Oh guys, you know,
This is a
Instagram started change, so we can't really save the live. Also, if we can stick to English, that'd be great.
That's probably us.
But looks like that's all the requests, guys. If there's anything, can you give gold chart with your Elliott wave? Okay, I'll see if there's anything. I'll do a quick analysis on that. Usually if I don't see Elliott wave straight away on the chart, I tend to not try and use it. Because for me, if you want to use your analysis, if you want to have a good trade, you know, you want to see it pretty quickly. So look, there's a little bit. Let's see, maybe there could be a little bit of something. We'll go to the weekly time frame maybe. Quickly, something to have a look. I mean, I can sort of see waves, but I don't really see anything that substantial. 5 structures are there. See if I can find anything. It could possibly work out. So what I'm seeing is I'm looking for these internal structures to make sure that the wave count's right. So obviously, first thing we see are 5 waves over here. Then again, that 5 waves, so this could be a nice 3 wave we have. And I see our waves. Looks like wave 1, wave 2 was a nice flat. Push up to wave 3, wave 4, nice strong. Obviously we had that sideways correction. Now we've got the sharp correction coming down here. Finish for wave 5. Now overall, that we see pushing to go even further. We can see a nice push the upside, push the downside. Actually, I'll use the red pen. Push up, push down, and we see that 3rd wave sort of pushing up. Now we see a 4th wave, potentially 4th wave, and then hopefully a 5 wave. So what we need to look for here now is to look for sort of Fibonacci areas, because there's not much resistance if we look on a higher term time frame. We can see a bit of resistance coming up here. We see some of that, so that could be a little indication for us. Obviously gold is at, I believe it's all-time highs, so that could be a nice area of interest. But if you want to use sort of just this chart, you can also use a bit of Fibonacci. We'll see if there's anything good from the start of wave 3. We can see it hasn't really bounced much. We saw it hit 23.6. It's a very shallow retracement. So I would look for potential 38.2 to look for it to push down to here. Now if we look to the left, it's sitting pretty close to that resistance I was talking to before on the high term time frame. So that could be a nice little area for this market to push to before we finally see that final wave 5 push up. So waves 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that could be a nice indication. Obviously internal waves we had as well, waves 1, wave 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then that inside wave of that wave 3 as well, inside count as well. So that's nice quick analysis on the gold for the Elliott wave. But I think, guys, we will end it there. Remember, it is Monday, so just let the market figure itself out. Like I showed you, spreads are still quite wide on some of the pairs. We see gaps, so gaps need to be filled. If you're a gap trader, Mondays are a good thing for you. Potentially, do see a nice big gap on gold, so keep an eye on that. But think we're there, guys. Monday, let the market chill, let it figure out your strategies for the week. Stay tuned, trade safe.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one.